Okay, I got something to say. I keep hearing everybody on YouTube uh, referring to boomers and how bad it is to be a boomer. Okay, well, I'm a boomer. Although I don't think it's fair that I'm in the boomer category. Boomers are born from 1944 or 45, 45 I think, to 1964. Now, I have a sister who was born in 1945. I was born in 1961. So, we were both boomers. By the time I was one, my sister was out in nursing school. By the time I was 8, she was married and ready to have her daughter. So I don't feel that the boomer title belongs in that huge of a group, because my sister and I were raised in totally different eras. She was raised in the 50s. I wasn't aware of life until, the 7 years old, so 1968. And so, I graduated grade school in 1975 and high school in 1979. So, it we're not the same generation. I don't know how. I know why we're all called boomers, because we were born after the war. But I think that, like when my mom had my sister, I think she was in her late 20s. When she had me, my mom was 44. So, we were even raised different. Things had changed. Things had evolved in the world. I was the first time in my life when I was like 13 that our country wasn't at war in Vietnam. I was 13. My sister's husband was served in the Vietnam War. So, like I said, the experiences we've had are totally different. Like millennials right now have such disdain for boomers, and we're your parents, so I'm guessing that that's why you have disdain for us. But um, it's a very broad brush that the boomers are painted with. Um, People my age, we had the first cell phones. Uh, I had one of the first cell phones that came out, and I had a pager. Of course, the cell phones weren't like they are now. But I had a computer. Um, and I don't own a computer now because I do a lot on my phone. But also, I have a life that does not allow me all the time to sit at a computer and play games, and it doesn't happen. So, at my age of 58, I'm not ready to, I'm not the retirement age. I'm not Medicare age. I'm just a normal person. I haven't gone into that. Of course, I'm not middle aged because I'm not going to live to 116, but I'm also not a senior citizen yet. I mean, because how long do you become a senior citizen? I mean, at 58, if you're a senior citizen, then what are you at 75 or 80? I mean, is there a comparison between the ages? I'm not sure. Maybe you all can tell me. Because we never called ourselves boomers. When I remember being in high school, we called ourselves the me generation because we were very selfish. And that's kind of like every generation. But I remember calling ourselves the me generation. Because we had come from a time where there was our parents did raise us differently than they were raised. But I had friends whose parents were born and raised in the 50s. My parents were born, my dad was born in 1913, and my mom was born in 1917. So, having my sister and raising her as a single child for about 15 years, and then having my next sister at 39, and then having my brother, so it was more than 15, well, it was less than 15 years, but then had my brother, then had me at 44. I mean, this just all makes a whole scramble of, I mean, like my sister, she was raised as a boomer because all the men came home from the war. She knew all my uncles who came home from the war. She saw the devastation of what the war had done to them. I didn't. I didn't see, I mean, to me, World War II was what my parents told me about it, what I learned in history class. So, it wasn't part of my life. So it's a really huge gap, I think, in calling someone a boomer who was born in the 60s. My sister and I, we listened to different music. Totally different. Totally. My sister was into the Beatles and Elvis and all that. I was into Donnie and Marie and all the nerdy Bay City Rollers, and my brother was into Jethro Tull, and everyone was into the Rolling Stones and Cat Stevens, and I mean, like I said, I was always into the nerdy ones. I remember crying because I couldn't go to a oh, what's his name? I can't. One of the men from back then, uh, Bobby Sherman. I couldn't go to Bobby Sherman concert. I remember just crying. I mean, it wasn't even near our house. I just watched it on TV and cried the whole time. I remember swearing to hate the Monkees because Davy Jones had gotten married. And I remember where it was and who I was with when we both heard it, and we were just disgusted because he was supposed to wait for us. So, we watched, Gilligan's Island and Partridge Family and all those different, the Brady Bunch. And my sister was already having a child, at her age. So, like I said, I think they've skipped my generation as an actual term, because I really don't think that it's fair. I'm not at all ashamed to be in the same words with my sister. Don't get me wrong. But I think we've been pigeonholed into these. Somehow a boomer is being a cranky old person when I've learned that cranky old people were cranky young people. So all you guys out there who are cranky, and there's a lot of you are going to be if you're millennials or you're Gen X or whatever it is now, Gen Y, if you're cranky and you're miserable and you are impatient and you have road rage, let me tell you, when you're my age, you're going to be picked on by the people who are your age now because you're going to be exactly the same. I've never been cranky, so I'm not a Karen. Although apparently I'm too old to be a Karen. But I think I would still fit into a Karen if I was like that. But you have to remember, there are Karens who are 25. There are Karens who are guys. So, give the boomer word a break. And realize that if someone, and the Karens, because if someone is, who is cranky and is your age, when they get to be my age, they're just going to be crankier. You are cranky or you're not cranky. You are a boomer. I think we should be called like end stage boomers or end of boomers. Or, like we said, the me generation. Because we were spoiled. And we were one of the first generations that was spoiled. Now, you all are progressively more spoiled. Trust me, you are more spoiled than we were. We lived with discipline. When we got in trouble, the neighborhood disciplined us. We were told on. Everybody knew what we were doing. And our parents didn't stand for it. Our parents didn't always just defend us. They found out what we did first and then apologized or made us apologize. We broke a window. We had to help repay it. And our parents would pay it. So like I said, we were spoiled. But we still had to answer for things. Nowadays, everybody's like, not my kid. Not my kid. Well, it's somebody's kid. And so, if being a boomer or being a Karen is something that comes out of your mouth a lot, think about it. Because I realized the other day that I'm 58. I remember being 25. I remember being 30. And I blinked. And I was 58. So stop categorizing everyone. Have your own lives. Stop blaming everybody. Stop saying it's their fault or it's that fault. Or if you see something happening as a boomer, if I see something happening, I'm calling the police with my phone. I'm not taping it. If you think about it, can't you see why that upsets us? We're like, okay, you're taping a fight. Someone's getting very injured. Why is that funny? Why aren't you calling the police? So we're called boomers because why? We are called boomers with disdain. Why? Because maybe we don't like being cursed at? Or maybe we can't understand that there is no respect in the world? We are just as driven. We are just as passionate about the political situation, the race situation, the world situation. We are just as passionate or more. So, like I said, when boomer comes out of your mouth, think about what you're saying. You're calling 20-year span of people something. I mean, do I look at what you're wearing and say, oh, you're just a this or that? I don't think that's fair. You're a thug, you're a troublemaker, you're whatever, because of what you're wearing. Or I call you lazy because you're a certain age, or I call you, I don't know, whatever. Everybody keeps labeling everyone. And I'll tell you, whatever you are now, you will be when you're my age. And you will be when you're in your 70s. So, you can call all the people the Karens you want. And you can call all the people the boomers you want. But if I'm a boomer, I'm not ashamed of it because I've lived a good life and I take care of everything. I take care of business. I don't think it's a bad thing to be a boomer. Maybe because I know old movies because my parents were older. Does that make me different? No. So, I just think everybody should stop calling each other these names and tagging us as being a certain way because we're a certain age. Because I don't think you would appreciate it. Just a thought. Alright, you take care and be well.